Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. It's your boy Mehdaoui Jr., aka TK, and I'm riding solo today. My co-host Omar Williams, we call him O. He may make a guest appearance today, he may not, but it's all good. Um, Again, another great Wednesday for us to have another great day, and you know how we do. We jump right in and we get things started and popping. But before we do, it's Affirmation Wednesday. Y'all know how we do. We do our affirmations every Wednesday. Get your day started. So if you're catching the replay of this, or you're getting, a different day, you're listening to the audio, doesn't matter what day it is, it's always Affirmation Day. So if you got your affirmations, or you got it memorized, or whatever you got, let's get ready to do it and knock this out and begin this lovely podcast. Are you ready? Today will be a good day. Today will be an amazing day. Today will be a great day. Today will be an awesome day. Today will be a phenomenal day. Today will be stress-free. Today will be a stress-less day. Today, I will overcome all barriers that want to block my progress. Today, all circumstances, issues, and situations will work in my favor. Today, all things will line up for my good. Today, I will become better than who and what I was yesterday. I am a go-getter. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I am an overcomer. I never lose. I either win or I learn. I take authority over this day. I will dominate this day. I will conquer this day. And everything I have spoken into this day will happen as I have affirmed, because I am more than a conqueror. Let's get it popping. So today we're continuing our series on marriage and business. 1 second here. 1, 2, there we go. Thank you. Marriage and business. And today we have a very special guest with us today. He is a brother to me. I met him about 11 months ago, and we've met him officially face-to-face in Florida, met him virtually 11 months ago via Zoom, and took a trip to Jamaica. He's a brother of mine from another mother. We both are from Jersey, and like we said before, if you say you're from New Jersey, you are not from Jersey. You just happen to live there. You from Jersey, you say I'm from Jersey. You don't say I'm from New Jersey. So I'm not gonna I'm allow him to kind of talk about himself, give us his own bio. But ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my brother, the genius himself, Mr. Ali Mehdaoui, to the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. Ali, it is a pleasure to have you here, my brother.
Hey, glad to be here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know it's been a little minute since June in Jamaica, but I'm glad to have you back here and see your smiling face again, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All day.
So we're gonna, before we jump right in, just give the people a little background of who you are, what you do, and the genius behind Ali Mehdaoui.
You are too kind. I am a vessel of God that I have the privilege and the opportunity to serve the masses every single day. I was born and raised in Northwest Africa, in Morocco. Been in the country in the United States for about 18 years now. And started in the restaurant business, and as a busboy and a dishwasher, and going to school. Ended up becoming a chef. It was in my eyes the best thing that's ever happened to me until I started working 90 hours a week, and then I realized that was the worst thing that I could have done. Especially that I got married that very same year that I got that dream job that I was hoping for. And my marriage was going down within its first year. And out of desperation, I started looking for opportunities and things to do. And I started buying and selling stuff online, and eventually fell into network marketing, and eventually got out of that restaurant business and started my own traditional businesses. That 7 at one point were operating with the family. From there, we went from traditional businesses to Hurricane Sandy took everything away from us. Where a few of those businesses we sold with a successful exit strategy, the rest we had to let go of. And I realized that I just should have focused on the internet space. And as a millennial, in 2011, 12, 13, it was the peak of all things social media for anyone who had an ounce of entrepreneurship for them. And I took a deep dive with network marketing, and did about $2 billion of sales in the last 14 years business wise. And now I sit before you as a global master trainer of an entrepreneurial community that operates in 6 continents. And we train and work with individuals to either start, grow, or scale businesses wherever they may be, or they can obviously build a book of business within what we are doing. And it's fun. And for those who are listening, when you hear numbers and figures and international growth, I speak 5 languages. So when you do speak different languages, you have the ability to expand your horizon. And I've struggled a lot more than most. And I love that I have that testimony. Because it prepared me for the man that I am today, and it allows me to help the masses wherever they may be around their life and the timing in their life.
That is amazing. So there's a few things he said. Number one, 5 languages. That's amazing. So, and you're a global master trainer. So to speak 5 languages, that's almost like, a must, being that you're dealing with worldwide leadership.
Of course.
So that's key as well. And then the one thing you also said, as far as, being married, thinking that you had your dream job and then realized it wasn't. And then things just kind of, took a turn for itself. So a marriage and business is what we're talking about today. So Ali, tell us and how in your marriage and the businesses that you have and that you run, how does that work with you and your lovely wife and your 2 beautiful children, who those who don't know, Ali's a very humble guy. And I do say and call him a genius. And I know he's an humble guy, but I call his son Genius Junior, because the boy, I think right now, how many languages is he learning right now?
He's on his 3rd.
He's on his 3rd language. And he's 4 now, right? Is he
Yes,
4
sir.
now?
Yep.
4 years old on his 3rd language. I mean, he might have more than Ali by the time he turns 10.
We'll make sure of it.
Awesome. So tell us how in your world, in your domain, do you work with, marriage and business with you and your wife, your family, and all that? And how does that work in the Mehdaoui household?
Yeah. So let me start with how it did not work at first, because that's probably more relatable to everybody, or most who are listening. In many cases, we as solopreneurs, we're starting our career with blindness. We don't know what we don't know, right? Like, we're like, I'm just going to move forward and learn it and figure it out as we go day by day. And as excited and ambitious and hopeful and inspired as we are, our significant other might not be. And there's a main reason for that. The very first one is the significant other only sees you as someone who's taking time and money out of an account, while you are saying, I'm investing time and investing money into our future. My significant other sees you're only taking time away from me and money out of our joint account, and you're not bringing any money back in. And sometimes they call that growth phase, which may take 6 months to 18 months. Yeah, right? Like a half a year to a year and a half before you really have measurable results, assuming you're doing the right thing in whatever business that you may be in. Well, that was me, and I've done it horribly wrong in a very long time, where I was never around. I would take money without even asking. I would just swipe the card on, things to please the team and to please the field and to be Mr. Mehdaoui without consulting with my wife. And in many cases, the results will arrive later on, but in the moment that the account needed to be alive and having funds in it, or maybe she was planning on doing something for herself, I wasn't considerate and compassionate enough to my relationship first. I was all out on my business, and my relationship was second. Now, I share this with you, Mehdaoui, and to the audience, because many times we are not aware that we are with any intentions doing such a thing, right? Like we think like, I'm doing this for you, baby. but we're doing it the wrong way or the hardcore way. And when you started your relationship, you started with no business. You started me and you loving each other, investing and bringing money into that account, not me taking something out of the account and out of our relationship for my own ambitions. So that was that. And I've done it very, very badly for a long time. Then the success came and we replaced our incomes. And then there was phase two where I did not know how to handle the success. And when I didn't know how to handle the success, meaning I had ego and a very unhealthy ego, I would just book a flight and one-way flight, and I will call when I'm there. I'm like, hey, I'm in Ohio. What do you mean? There was a meeting they needed me here for, and I just booked a one-way flight. Well, when are you coming back? I'll find out after this meeting. And then 3 days later, I'm still there. And, when my wife would call me after I'm taking out the field to an after party, I'm hitting that red button because I'm scared that my wife is going to yell at me and say, like, where are you? Why aren't you answering the phone? And why are you out? You need to get back home right now. And I'm hitting that red button because I'm Mr. Mehdaoui. And then I will put my phone in my pocket. Now, here's the thing. My mama always says, if you're dumb to lie, steal, cheat, you should know you're dumb to get caught, right?
Yeah.
So as we will be in clubs or wherever we are, restaurants, there will be pictures that are taken and I will be tagged in those pictures. And like a dumb, I would approve the picture that the person that tagged me because I wanted to show everywhere. And guess who sees it? My wife, who's been calling me, and I'm hitting that red button. So I know every couple right now shaking their head or looking at each other saying, that is absolutely you right now. Now, I share this with you is because I was so afraid of losing the success that I was accumulating that I was making my relationship a whole lot worse. Though in my head, I'm retiring my wife, I'm creating wealth, I'm doing all these amazing things, but I went about it the wrong way. Then there was one period, it was a year that we were actually separated. And that's because my wife had enough. She did not know how to handle Mr. Mehdaoui, right? The alter ego of Ali, her husband. And I did not know how to handle this successful guy and how he was paranoid that he was going to go backwards. So a lot of things unfortunately happened that we took a year off. And then we came back into the table and we had an honest conversation. And I gave my wife a promise. It was June of 2014. And I gave her my word. I will never, ever put any business or any human being before you. I'll give you my word. I will be the honorable husband that you should have ever had, always have had, and always wished for. I just need you to give me an opportunity to do so. And she did. And that was day one of our relationship. That was exactly 7 years ago, this past June. So we have our anniversary when we got married, and then we have our anniversary where we became an actual husband and wife. And from there, we've become an entrepreneurial couple and eventually an entrepreneurial family. We plan our day and night and week and month and quarter and year together. We make decisions together. It is no longer my decision of scheduling an event or a seminar or something, and then I'll tell my wife about it later on. I discuss everything that I do with my wife. My wife has full access to all of my social media assets, and she manages them for me. My wife has full access to every bank account, and she makes the final decision on them. And that was me understanding you have a flaw. And your flaw is that you are afraid of how people perceive you. And if you give someone else the ability to help you with your image and how people perceive you, you can just be yourself. My flaw was I'm making all this money, but I'm spending it on everyone else to keep on impressing them, to keep my ego. I needed accountability, and my wife taking over my account. As you know, you've heard the story before, Zimbabwe. My wife sends me to events with a gift card. Hey, the hotel is paid. The flight is paid. Here's $200 for 2 days. I'm giving you $100, and your hotel includes your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this $200 is play money. You spend that, you're done. There's nothing more. And it put me at a position where I am forced to be an honorable husband to my wife. Yeah. And my wife does not have to worry about me when I come back home. I'm like, thank God she has that system for me, because look at what we are able to do. So foundationally speaking, you and your significant other need to become partners. And when I say partners, not just the cute way of saying we're partners in a business or an LLC. You truly have to make each other the essence of everything that you do. Like my wife and I, on Sunday night, we open our calendars and we schedule all of our events together. whether it's a nail appointment for her, whether it's a haircut for me, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a business session, whether it's a travel, we schedule everything together. And I tell her, hey, whatever you want to book, you go first. She schedules anything on all things personal, date night, movie night, family fun, whatever, she schedules it first. And then we schedule the business stuff there afterwards. So by default, before the week even starts, I'm telling my wife, you're number one for me. And by doing so, it makes me look like her superhero. It allows me to have a little bit of brownie points, like you and I would call, and it makes communication easier. It makes, when you have that head bumping situation, a lot softer and quicker in terms of recovery. But if you're not truly partners in everything you do, money, intimacy, like, you got to be talking about every single thing. Like, my wife and I talk about everything, as uncomfortable as it could get at times. Like, everything matters, and it is usually the untold thing that could become the biggest problem that you can have in your relationship, especially as entrepreneurs.
So with all that said, podcast over. We're done. No, but seriously, guys, I mean, I always tell you guys, whenever we have guests on and we're doing interviews, you should always have a pen and paper out, your tablet, your iPad, because everyone we bring on here is going to drop knowledge on you guys that you've never heard before, different perspectives. And so for brother to brother, for my man Ali, number one, I'm glad I met him. Number two, I'm glad that we actually share a number of things together. Number one, my birthday and his anniversary are on the same day, his wedding anniversary. So I didn't tell you personally, but happy belated anniversary, brother.
And happy belated birthday.
So, and that was one thing. The other thing is we're both from Jersey. So we also share that as well. The other thing is that we are both husbands and are both fathers who are doing all that we can to provide for our families, to be the father we need to be, the husband we need to be, and to continue to love our wives as we should. And one thing that I do appreciate that you touched on is knowing that you had a flaw. And you're like, okay, this is my flaw. My wife is better at this. I need to let her run this.
Sure.
I tell people all the time, my wife is the CFO of our family and our business, or businesses. I'm like, I'm the CEO. I keep things moving and running. She makes sure that the money flows the way it's supposed to go. And so, and I love that about it, because I know she's better at that than I am. So thank you for that, brother. Another question I want to get before, because I know you got people to see and places to go. But one thing I do want to ask you this is, do you view marriage as a business to a degree? So you have your marriage, and you mentioned partnership. And one thing that we stressed when we built the foundation of this was saying that your marriage should be the one partnership that matters the most.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It really depends on the part of the conversation that we want to have. You know me, Mehdaoui, I never have a straight answer. It's always a philosophical evaluation before I give you an answer. So for me personally, my feeling on marriage, and what I tell every single person, I counseled many couples over the years. What I say is, every relationship begins with friendship and ends with friendship. Before you asked her out, you were somewhat of friends, right? You talked, you interacted, and then you eventually asked her out, right? And eventually, either you or she will exit this world to go to, a spiritual world as believers, right? And by default, you're ending that physical relationship as friends. She's going to look at you, or you're going to look at her, depending on how this world plays out. And you're going to say, goodbye, friend, until we meet again. Right. Mm-hmm. So everything else just happens in the middle. And that's what life is, right? Everything else. So for me, I believe that you have to work on your friendship first, because if you think about it, my best friend and I tell each other secrets. My best friend and I get in trouble together. My best friend and I, right, like, we get each other the best gifts ever. My best friend and I want to spend all the time together. My best friend and I want to stay late and wake up early, want to work out together, right? So my hope is that I'm doing everything that I can to be my wife's best friend, right? I get jealous of her wanting to have a ladies' night out, because she sees more, value of wanting to enter. Now, my wife doesn't really do ladies' night out, but I'm just giving an example of her wanting to spend more time on being entertained. That someone is giving her more fun value than I am, right? Like I I seek to be the source of her saying, I'm having the time of my life in every way, right? So that needs to be the foundation of a marriage. For me, I genuinely believe it, right? But when it comes to entrepreneurs, your marriage itself needs to be operated as a business structure. Let me explain. Now, there is no one higher or better than other, but I believe if you take the word husband, the word husband itself, and I've heard this in a sermon, if you think about it and break it down, it stands for house bond, right? That is the actual foundation that maintains and keeps everything strong and connected. This is why in many cases, many kids, I was somewhat, I didn't have my father on a, 2/3 of my life. And I know the impact that it had on me personally, the trauma that it brought, the lack of opportunities that I couldn't have, the confusion growing up. So that's why the husband is a strong piece of the actual foundation of that relationship, and ultimately will be the person that is not only generating revenue, but is the mover and shaker of things, bringing resources into the family, right? Predominantly, it's always been that way. Now, again, I'm not saying that a husband is higher in authority, power, income than a wife, because I believe that we were all equal, right? But the wife herself is everything else in that family. This is why a mom specifically is a teacher, she is a counselor, she is a chef, she is, she does it all. And women by default have the ability to multitask and do it right the first time. Me and you, Zimbabwe, we can't be on the phone and cook at the same time. We'll burn it while we are sitting and standing in front of the stove. But a wife and a mom, right? She can be on the phone while on the computer, while looking and catching Sebastian behind me saying, you better stop at the same exact time without missing a beat, right? Yeah. So a wife herself, yes, the reason she and my wife are your CFO and president and VP of operations and everything else, because they have the capacity and the mental fortitude to be able to do so. You, sir, need, and this is for all men, you need to accept the fact that you are the founder of that family as much as you are the founder of that business. But she is the reason why you are who you are in that business in the first place. So there needs to be a true interaction, communication on budgeting. My wife and I operate on 20% of our income. So we 7 figures in income doesn't matter. We make $200K a year. That's what we live on, right? Like, so if I want to live on $1 million a year, I have to make sure that I'm making 10 times that, right? So we operate on, or rather 5 times that. We operate on 20% of our income. That A, keeps us humble, B, keeps us fiscally responsible, and C, and make sure that we are not just going bonkers and spending money left and right on the wrong things in the wrong places, right? And last but not least, in any company, communication is key, right? Like in any business, if all the branches from the CEO to all the different layers are communicating with one another, there's a smooth operation that usually takes place. It is the same exact thing in a marital relationship, especially with business. You need to be over communicative. You need to talk about everything. And I'm talking about specifically budgeting together. I'm talking about scheduling things together. If you got a knucklehead that slid in your DM and sent you something inappropriate, even if you blocked that person, Miss or Mr. or whomever is listening to me, you need to have this guy. Or, man, women are crazy nowadays. Here's what I got, because here's what happens. You may have a second device. I'm talking from experience here, because men and women, we're different in our way of operating, right? And the woman may just see that second device that says like, hey, baby, I would love to talk to you. And the fact that you didn't communicate that, it starts to, what's this? And even if you say, yeah, some weird automated person, I blocked them anyways, it still creates the friction of, no, I need a full explanation because you are playing defense now. And the same thing goes for us guys, right? I may see something like, what the heck is this? Why do you even have stuff like that? Why aren't you blocking your messenger? Why aren't you doing, like, now you're creating all these unnecessary, irrelevant conversations that interfere with business relevant time. So yeah, you gotta be friends first. and then operate as much of a business as you can. If you embed those, and the funny thing, and you know this, Zimbabwe, the Bible give us all business foundations. If you just read it, you have it all in there, and
Right.
also core values from a marital standpoint. You live by those values, you're gonna be all right.
I believe it, brother. I believe it. And one thing you said is communication, and communication is highly key. If you don't communicate, I mean, no one, is psychic enough to know what you're thinking. You have to communicate. And for females, they like details. Us as males, we're kind of like yes, no, maybe, okay, fine. You know
And
what I
that's
mean?
and that's funny that you're saying that. That's where the problems usually happen. It goes back to the five love languages, right? If you understand your spouse's language, my goodness, like me personally, I am the got it, no problem, okay. Like I'm short on words because my mindset is, where's the solution? Did we do it? Okay, cool, let's move on. My wife is the opposite. My wife wants to take the time and talk about the color of the car that has passed in 1974 and where it passed from and why, and the reason that she loves this car that we're looking in front of us today. While me, I'm like, you like it, buy it. No, but let me tell you why I liked it in the first place. So you have to identify your language between you and your significant other. That's such spot on. And please do not use selective communication. As husbands and wives, sometimes we're afraid what our significant other is thinking or will think or will judge us. And I'm talking about, like, listen, we're grown-ups in here. Even in intimacy, you got to have those conversations. Like, hey, like can you tell me about when you were younger, and did you ever want to try anything? Because the devil is a liar, and he will whisper things in your significant other, and until it's verbalized and you say, well, let's get back on the right track, I'm telling you, you're going to be on the wrong path in so many ways, because there is always a knucklehead that is going and putting something. And listen, the reason I don't have cable, 5 years now that I don't have cable TV, every single show is all corrupted. I don't want my kids to see this. Most of the stuff is just not aligned with our core values. And now social media is to follow. You can't go on Instagram Reels or TikTok without seeing nudity nowadays. It's like,
Yeah.
where do you go? Where do you go? You go to the beach now, everything is half naked. So, all right, we don't go to the beach. We stay in the pool. And it just gets more challenging and more challenging and more challenging. So you need to have these communication as to, who you are. To me is important. And I want to know every single component of you. And I want you and I to be in alignment, because the moment I find out something as simple, pleasant, bad, good, ugly, big or small, that I didn't know before, it creates the emotional shock. So you all need to have conversations in every single way, and get counseling if you need to.
That's good. That's good. I mean, my wife, we talked about everything before we got married, and then when phases changed, we talked more.
Yeah.
And so that's amazing how and even the situation with the whole Facebook or social media thing is like, that's, I think all of us can really say, okay, are we really doing that? Are we really communicating about everything? And let's get one thing straight: we're not perfect beings, and that's why we're having these conversations about marriage and business, because there's someone who can come and give you a different perspective on something
Sure.
that you're like, oh, I never thought about that. Maybe I should work on that and see how I can implement that. Now, look, your marriage may not be like Ali's and his wife's. Your marriage may not be like mine and my wife's, but we can take bits and pieces and then make it your own and then implement it into your marriage how it works for you. So, Ali, real quick before we go, I know you got to go. Anything else you want to tell the people before we go? And then let us know where we can, connect with you on social media, things of that nature. And we'll also make sure we put that in the podcast notes as well, so everyone can reach out to you if
Yeah.
you need to and see where you are.
Yeah, no, at official Ali Mehdaoui everywhere, wherever you may be, or at official A Mehdaoui. It's simple as that. Or you can just go to winwithali.com. And there's all types of connections in there. And by the way, I don't sell anything from my website. There's whatever's in there is free audiobooks, free giveaways, free everything. I don't sell anything online. But last note for you, whomever you're watching, congratulations, because you're taking your very first step towards the righteous path. Most people won't even invest 30 minutes in their relationships to actually identify or listen, what am I to do? kudos to you, Mehdaoui, that you're creating a platform where, you know, couples or even single individuals can have a little bit of a foundational understanding of what's to come. Because yes, we are not perfect, but God knows we've been through it all. I have, certainly with my relationship. We've had everything and anything you could imagine and think of: lying, cheating, idolatry. We've had to fail and do it all bad before we've learned and done it all right. And yes, we still fight, we still argue, we still hate each other sometimes, but the recovery mechanism, I mean, it is 5 minutes and we're back like nothing has ever happened. That is where you want to be. And I'll leave you with this, and my deacon said this a while back, is that the secret of a successful relationship is not love or sex or the hearts and the birdies and the sparkles, right? The secret of successful relationship is the ability for you to forgive one another, because sooner or later, however small it may be or bad that mistake may be, he or she will be making a mistake. It may be, I forgot to take out the garbage and the trash can now is full until next week. Or we may be, I went out and talked to somebody else that I shouldn't have talked to, and anywhere in between. But as long as you have it within your heart to have the ability to forgive, there's tolerance and there's willingness to restart all over again. That, my friend, is something you need and I need to work on every single day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ali Mehdaoui. And I love the fact that he, brought the Most High into all of this. Because, here, me and my co-host, we're all followers of the Messiah. So you guys know who we are. You know how we are. So I appreciate the fact that he was able to, quote unquote, preach a little bit and sit back and let him do what he do. Ali, thank you, sir. We appreciate you. And we'll be talking soon, brother.
You got it.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, everybody here at the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast, it's what we do and how we do. Again, thank you for joining us, and always continue to think it, speak it, and achieve it. And until next time, join us next week, where we'll actually be doing a special Thanksgiving podcast. And thank you guys so much. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do, but it's going to be special. So make sure you tune in next week if you're able to. November 24th, it'll actually be my father's birthday as well. And so you never know what we might do. But thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week. And as I always say, hey, I holla. Thank you for joining the Frame of Mind Inc. podcast. And as always, here at Frame of Mind Inc., think positive thoughts, say positive things, and do positive deeds. As our tagline says, think it, speak it, achieve it. See you next time.
It's a frame of mind. It's what you say and what you do.
Don't forget to check us out on the web at www.frameofmindinc.com, where you can browse our online apparel store, listen to some of our original music and production services, as well as view our videos and projects we've done for our clients and customers.